Hello, I am Clémence Réda, and I represent my joint work with André Delahaye-Duriez at NORDic in Paris, called Drug Repurposing in Breast Cancer by combining bandit algorithm and Boolean network with NORDic. This work focuses on the implementation of a generic end-to-end pipeline for network-oriented drug repurposing called NORDic. In order to model the drug effect on patients, we resort to Boolean networks. Boolean networks are powerful graphical representation of dynamical gene regulation in whole pathways. Vertices in the graph are biological entities, for instance genes, and edges represent regulatory interaction between those entities, which will affect the transcriptome. The specificity of Boolean network is that the expression of gene is binary, meaning that 0 stands for weakly expressed and 1 for strongly expressed. And the update of the expression level is mediated by the evaluation of a logical formula, which involves direct regulator of the considered gene. For instance, let us consider the graph on the right-hand side of the slide, with 3 genes A, B, and C. Each gene encodes for a protein, which affects the transcription of other genes. Protein A activates the expression of gene B, and vice versa, whereas protein A and B can form a complex which inhibits the expression of gene C. The corresponding set of interactions can be described with the following interaction graph and 3 logical formulas. So network-oriented drug repurposing might be useful. Indeed, using a Boolean network allows us to account for transcriptomic cascade during drug treatment, and thus to identify potential off-targets which might lead to negative side effects. To facilitate the implementation and evaluation of such method, we have identified 3 objectives to fulfill. First, the automation of the inference of a disease-specific Boolean network. Second, the development of a standard pipeline for scoring drug effect by calling the Boolean network. And third, the development of a pipeline which improves the computational cost of those calls to the Boolean network by resorting to the adaptive sampling. We illustrate those objectives by considering repurposing for breast cancer. So our contribution to those objectives is package NORDic, which is open source and available on the 2 main package repositories for Python, that is PyPy and Anaconda. Notebooks associated with the application to breast cancer are available on the corresponding GitHub repository. So first, let us consider the automation of network inference. Through the module NORDic network identification, function network identification can identify a Boolean network from the set of protein-protein interaction built from a set of genes. In the application to breast cancer, our network successfully predicted reported phenotypes from unseen gene perturbation experiments 67.8% of the time. Second, using the inferred network, we can now score drugs based on the transcriptomic effect. Module NORDic drug simulation implements a generic pipeline for scoring drug effect based on the post-treatment profile predicted by the Boolean network. It uses drug targets and patient data to set the initial profile of Boolean networks, which then reach attractor reachable states under the drug perturbations. Then it compares the predicted states with patient profile, and that outputs a single score per drug and patient profile. This allows us to compare the performance of 3 types of scoring approaches in breast cancer, and we were able to show that network-oriented methods are more predictive of the treatment effect against breast cancer. Finally, we improve the computational costs of network-oriented scoring by resorting to adaptive sampling. Since the scoring method rely on enumerating attractor states of the Boolean network, getting a score can be computationally expensive. When screening a whole drug library with an access to a large set of patients, resorting to an adaptive sampling instead of naive grid search can save some computation in terms of number of tests. Module NORDic drug repurposing implements a bandit algorithm, which is able to restrict the number of needed tests while granting a maximum recommendation error of pi. While the bandit algorithm do not fulfill a stopping criterion, it sequentially samples the drug which is the most informative about drug scores. Then it calls the NORDic drug simulation pipeline in order to retrieve the random score associated with that drug. And finally, it uses that score either to sample the next drug or to estimate all the drug scores. At stopping time, the algorithm returns the top M candidates based on the estimated drug scores. So, in conclusion, NORDic is an open-source Python package which aims at providing reproducible and modular pipeline for network-oriented drug repurposing. It might ease the development of more robust approaches based on Boolean network. So thanks a lot for your attention. Please check out our poster number 1197 for further details. Thank you.